You now have a rare opportunity to see a completely unique combat style, a style that has been repeatedly described as the new page of martial arts in North America. This is known as the System, a Russian martial art that goes back over 1,000 years, but has been kept under wraps throughout the communist era and taught only to a few units of the special forces and the special security. There are no stances, no kata, no formalities or rituals in this style. The training is very close to real-life situations. As you will see in this film and in our other movies, all the movements are calm and subtle, yet absolutely deadly. The techniques are amazingly versatile, direct, and truly effective. The skill of knife throwing consists of many components. First of all, Vladimir's student will demonstrate knife throwing from a handle grip. The knife here reaches the target without any rotation. With this grip, a knife can be thrown from 1 to 5 meters in distance. Professionals can increase this distance to 8 or more meters. If the knife is in your right hand, take a left-sided stance, raise the right arm in a wave-like manner, turn your body towards the target, and when the arm is straight in line with the target, let the knife go. The main thing is not to allow a whip-like movement of the wrist and not to let the wrist drop below the level of the target after the knife is thrown. Now you can see how to throw two knives at once. The reason for practicing this is to achieve the right sense of a grip and of the knives sliding in your hand. Professionals in Spetsnaz are trained to throw the two knives so that they hit two separate targets a fair distance away from each other. For practice purposes and to see how far you can throw a knife from a handle grip, make one step back after every throw. When your knife starts to hit the target angled up instead of the 90-degree angle, then it's time to add the whipping movement of your hips and then to use a grip on the blade. Now Vladimir demonstrates a less common way of throwing, used in close combat. In a knife fight, there may not be enough time to switch to the more comfortable hold, and the grip is similar to throwing a spear. The movement is all in the wrist. Now you see an example of precision throwing. A popular way of throwing is from the blade grip. The knife here makes a half rotation before hitting the target. The fingers do not grip the blade tightly and do not touch the sharp edge. While letting the knife out, it should slide along the thumb towards the target. During throwing from below, it is important to have the knife and the forearm aligned. The precision depends on the exact location of the grip. The greater is the distance to the target, the closer is the thumb to the handle and vice versa. You should choose your own optimal distance, grip, and stance during practice. Another less common way of throwing is from the handle grip at the hip level. In order to draw the knife quickly, raise the end of the scabbard with the left hand lower your hips as you are pulling the knife out and then throw with a whipping action of the arm. Or if the knife is at your shoulder, you can apply the same movement as at the hip level. These two methods are convenient to use if throwing the knife from around the corner. These simple techniques are two of the many ways of throwing from a stakeout and of taking out a guard. The ways of overcoming your opponent with the different throwing weapons are numerous. Practically every nation, depending on their traditions and culture, has its own secrets of throwing. Most often, they are passed on to the next generations within families or to the most deserving students. However, there are throwing methods common to the most military traditions. These methods are universal. In this film, we have been demonstrating some of the most simple and well-known ones. Now, you see how to throw large nails. In our other movies, you will see such techniques as knife throwing from the lying position, throwing at a flash of light and at a sound, while blindfolded, as well as throwing of some other weapons and objects. Here you see throwing from the handle grip where the knife makes two turns. There are two ways of throwing a razor blade. Once you put it on your fingertip, you can either shake it off towards the target or flick it off with the thumb. There are professionals who can take two halves of the razor blade into the mouth and then spit them out at the target, usually the opponent's eyes. The principle of throwing a military shovel is the same as for throwing knives. In combat situations, a military shovel has an advantage, for it can be thrown at the legs of your opponent if he is running away, especially in the knees area. The same applies to throwing an axe. The sequence of training is as follows. Master the ways of holding the weapon, then the starting stances. Study the preparation stage and the throwing without letting the weapon out of your hand. Practice throwing from a standstill position at the target